Welcome to the second video in this Key Area 1 of your Higher Biology. Now, in the last video you had a look at the structure of DNA. In this video you're going to look at how DNA is organised in different organisms. Namely, we're going to have a look at what are called prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So first we're going to look at what are called prokaryotes. Now this group is, prokaryotes is a name given to unicellular organisms that lack a membrane-bound nucleus or any other membrane-bound organelles for that matter. So they don't have membrane-bound mitochondria, for example. So bacteria are a member of the group prokaryotes. Now the DNA is organised in bacteria as a single circular chromosome, and as well as that, bacteria also have smaller circular plasmids. And you remember learning about plasmids in your National 5. Eukaryotes, on the other hand, have membrane-bound nuclei, and they make up animals and plants and fungi. Now, eukaryotes can also have extra DNA that is out with the nucleus. So, for example, mitochondrial DNA, which is inherited from your mother, and in plants, chloroplast DNA. Now this DNA is circular, unlike the linear chromosomes that are found in the nucleus. And yeast is a special example of a eukaryote because it also contains plasmids. Now we're going to go on briefly to have a look at the DNA packaging in eukaryotes. Now in a human chromosome, for example, if one chromosome is pulled out, it's maybe roughly about 4 centimetres long. But the cell packages this into a much smaller bundle of about 1.2 to 2 micrometre long. Now you have 46 chromosomes in every cell in your body. Now if that was to be stretched out, that would be approximately about 1.8 metres of DNA in every cell of your body. So if you were to take every single cell in your body and to stretch out that DNA, it's enough DNA to stretch to the moon and back. So how does the cell manage to package that 1.8 metres of DNA into this tiny nucleus? Well, what happens is the DNA is tightly coiled and packaged around associated proteins, which are called histones. So if we have a look here, here's our string of DNA here, and it is wrapped around these histone proteins. They look a bit like beads here, and that's what you could think of it like a piece of string being wrapped around beads. This string of beads here then actually packages itself up further over here, where they package together to make a thicker fibre. It's known as chromatin. And that thicker fibre then folds again on a protein scaffold to form loop fibres. So if you think of this bit here, this is like this packaged bit that we had there before with all these histones that are there. They're all packaged together, and what happens is that string forms itself, or that group then forms itself into these looped fibres. And what happens next is that these looped fibres that we had in the diagram before, like this, then form themselves like this into further loops. And this then forms a tightly coiled chromosome. So we'll have a look at this just all in an overview in the next slide. So here we've got our basic DNA strand up here. And what it does is it then wraps itself around these associated proteins called histones. These histones then pack themselves more tightly here, like this, and then that string of more tightly packed DNA wrapped around histones then loops itself and then this actual looped fibre here then forms into further loops. So all that looping is all here, and then what happens is that these compressed fibres and folded fibres, tightly twisted fibres, then form into a tight coil, making up your chromosome. Now there's maybe slightly more information here in your diagram that you need. You do need to know that your DNA is associated with proteins called histones, but this helps to give you a picture of what is happening with all of that coiling. So to summarise, the organisation of DNA is different in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes usually have a single circular chromosome and smaller circular plasmids. Eukaryotes usually have several linear chromosomes which are tightly coiled and packaged with associated proteins called histones. Eukaryotic cells also contain circular mitochondrial DNA and chloroplast DNA in green plants. So both of these are circular. And yeast also contains plasmids.